This episode is brought to you by May Precision Ag in Kiowa, Kansas. Be sure to contact Jerry May for all your Pioneer seed, grid soil sampling, or custom farming needs. Brandon and Amelia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Just a little. For those that don't know, this is the Bushmans, and you're not a native to Kiowa. You moved here recently, or in the last year, right?
Correct.
And thought it'd be nice to bring you on, learn a little bit more about you. I know you got a business and doing some work, and got to seen some of your kids at school. I know, is it Landon is in the middle school? Is that Landon?
Yeah. So all the kids are. Well, Landon's not in middle school yet. He'll.
Which one's the sixth grader?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Landon.
Is that?
Landon's
Do
in
they
sixth.
consider sixth?
Well, I
grade
meant middle school
Okay.
sports. Got to
Oh,
watch him.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then got a daughter that I've been to the Plum Thicket
Okay.
once, and she was
Yeah,
my hostess or waitress.
Yeah.
That's Lydia.
Yep. She's the oldest.
So how many kids you got?
6.
And you got enough. We could
Wonderful.
have a football team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Here we can.
So we visited at some ball games, and you're originally from Waukeeta.
I am. Yes.
And where are you originally from?
I'd say I grew up in Bartlesville,
Bartlesville.
Oklahoma. I was born in Austin, Texas, but in third grade we moved to Bartlesville. so-
Okay. All right. A slight change
Oh yeah.
here from Bartlesville.
Yeah, I kind of joke that keeps getting smaller. Austin to Bartlesville to Alva to now Kiowa.
Yeah.
I don't know what's next, but
Middle of nowhere somewhere.
I just had a friend of mine that went through Bartlesville yesterday, and he hadn't been there in years. And he goes, "Man, I can't believe how much that town grew." And I'm like, "Well, I think it's ConocoPhillips money over
Yeah.
that way, or Skelly, or somebody. It's one of them old companies got some money in that town. It's pretty good size now."
Well, and for being so close to Tulsa, it's pretty nice. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a little smaller than Enid, but it has a lot of restaurants. It's kind of I don't want to say it's a nice town, but it's a nice town.
Yeah. And you growing up in Waukeeta and now in Kiowa, this is probably like the big city, ain't it?
Yeah. It's like returning home, except it's 6-man football instead of 8. But yeah, I really like small towns. I like how everybody knows everybody, and it's kind of that way in Alva as well. You know a lot of people, but there's a lot of things you don't know going on too. And it
So
is-
you got, is it Bushman Heat and Air? Is that the technical name?
yes, Bushman Heat.
Okay. Now tell me, when did this get started? Have you been doing it most of your adult life, or is this a new venture?
No, I was actually in the oil field and working for Chesapeake, and I got laid off there, had severance, and kind of was doing my own thing, doing a little bit of construction, painting, and like light construction. And a relative of mine called and said there was an opportunity to do some work. So it happened to be HVAC, and I did that, and I was pretty good at it. And so about 6 years later, I decided to do it on my own. And so that was about 6 years ago. I think 2019. Although I was looking at some pictures and it said 2020. It was in the year of COVID.
yeah, it was
really hard.
2020 because I remember thinking this is a great year to start a business.
It was really hard. Yeah, it was really, but it went off really well. I've been busy from the get-go, which is awesome. Very blessed to be able to say that. And I'm a people person. I'm not a business owner. And so I'm learning a lot of things growing up. So
Right.
yeah,
Now, when you was in school, you graduate from Waukeeta?
I did. Yes, I was born in Waukeeta. In fact, one of the last to be born in Waukeeta.
Oh, wow. I am
Or
at
the
the
hospital.
hospital over there.
Yep.
So South Barber back in the day, on occasion, would play Waukeeta in football.
We did.
Was that around your time?
Yes, we played in my junior and senior,
Okay.
and they may have played after that as well. But um, we beat them my junior year, and barely lost my senior year. It came down to it was the first game of the season actually, and so it was a really good thing because she's laughing, but
How do you remember that?
I know. Well,
And what year was this? Late 90s?
99, 2000.
Okay.
So in 98, 99, we went to state, and I think Balco ended up beating us at the last through a touchdown pass, which shouldn't even happen. I won't go down those roads
Okay.
too deep, but and then my senior year, it was a pretty tight game, and I went to catch the ball, and I got hit before I even was able to try to make the catch. And then someone intercepted it and ran it in, and they ended up winning. So that was the first game of our season, my senior year. And we were a lot smaller than my junior, than the seniors above us. They were athletic, and we were considered not. And so our coach had left, and he went to a bigger school somewhere over by Tulsa. But from that point, I got all the seniors together, and I was like, we're not going to be losers this year.
Right.
We're going to work our tails off. And we just started winning and kept winning and won some games that no one thought we could beat, Cherokee, and played a very tight game with Medford. If it hadn't
that
been,
was back when Medford was good.
yeah, Medford,
Which they
ended up-
got good again last year, but they was on a
Yeah.
run back there in the 90s.
Yeah, they had James Killian. He was he went to the pros for a little bit. I don't think he played a whole. And then that was a close game. Probably could have won if it hadn't been raining. Our quarterback had small hands. He just couldn't throw the ball, and that when you're one sided, it makes it a lot easier to play defense against. But it was a close game. It's like maybe the only game they had that they had to play all 4 quarters that year. So even in the state playoffs, because we played Timberlake in the state semifinals,
Okay.
and we were, I think 27. It was or 24-7, and we had an inexperienced coach, and we didn't change anything on defense after half. And so they came out, they had adjusted, and it was they ended up winning 27-24. It was a disgusting thing. So,
Well, you guys caught South Barber about the time that they were starting to get good again.
Yeah.
Because people forget from about 84 to about 99, there were some lean years in they but then from there on, man, I think they've had maybe 4 losing seasons, if that, since that time.
well, that's good.
Yeah.
And I know this sounds ridiculous, but I like what sports does for the kids,
Mm-hmm.
and so being on a winning team is fun. For my kids, having a coach that instills like a work ethic, and being able to understand what I put into it on the off season. It's not about what you do on the on season, the off season that really contributes to your success. And so having coaches that are able to instill that mindset, and I think it carries on through, life and everything that you do with your job and everything else.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So-
What kids don't realize by making that commitment in the off season, whether it's conditioning, weightlifting, whatever it is, you're making a commitment. You're learning responsibility of showing up on time, putting in the effort, and that transitions into later in life when somebody that hires you expects you to show up at a certain time and give a good effort.
Mhm.
I told somebody one time they just complained about something like how much they make, they didn't make enough. And I said, well, they hired you, to give 100% effort at that rate, and you agreed to it.
Yeah.
So I'd hold up your end of the deal if I was you.
And it's like that parable that Jesus gives, they showed up half a day late and they got the same pay. Like, well, but I told you this is the pay you were going to get for a full day's late, work. So yeah, I know it's very similar. And so kids are a lot different nowadays. I have good guys. They're, somewhat green. Some of them are a little green, but eager to learn and get the job done. So it's an interesting deal trying to balance being, because they're my age ish. It's 28 ish. Is they're probably their age, and I know I'm not
That's
28,
not your age, honey.
but it feels like my age. Feels like my age. So just being able to relate with them and be buddies, but also, hey, you can't do such and such. You're gonna have to step it up.
So what led you guys to Kiowa?
That's a good question.
So ironically, it's about the same thing.
She says, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Looks at you.
Well, so very literally, I had thought, because in this county, Barber County, you do not have to have a license to do plumbing, electrical, or HVAC. So there are a lot more kids going to school to do this, but no one wants to come to northwestern Oklahoma. It's just, there's nothing here. In fact, talking to a chiropractor, he was trying to get some guys to come up, and the guy loved it. He wanted to hunt, he wanted to be outdoors. His wife got here. He was like, there's no place to shop. We're not doing this, And so that's kind of the same thing. It's really hard to find, a family. I mean, you've got to have everybody who's on the same page of it's okay to live out in the middle of nowhere, and you don't always get to go shopping, and you might have to drive 2 hours to go do those things. And that's just kind of the way it is. So the people that I have working for me now are kind of in that small town mindset, so it's tough. So basically, to get around to what the question was, I've hired some guys that are out of school, but I generally try to follow the rules. Whatever the rules are, I try to follow them. So if they're not able to go work by themselves, I have to pay for them to ride with somebody else. So having, multiple, it's hard to make a business meet ends when you have to pay two people to go do the same job. And so basically I thought, well, I'll hire some guy, I'll advertise in Kiowa, and I'll just come back. I'll come up here and I'll do more work up in Kiowa. And in fact, my chiropractor lives in Ashland and asked if I would kind of come out that way and do some work out that way, which is a little bit too far. But, being in Alva, you do Winoka and Cherokee and Burlington and Freedom. You got a pretty big area that you service anyway. So with that, I thought, well, I'll just have some guys come up here and I'll make sure we get some work up north more. And then we were approached to move here. And we were kind of in like a weird place of, where we were living, and we were planning on moving to a different house anyway. And she used to do daycare. She had done daycare for a long time. She was a teacher now at Alva Elementary. But our kids are getting older to where she wouldn't have to do daycare, and they could go to school. So she didn't want to do daycare necessarily anymore. And
Well, and I was homeschooling too.
Yeah.
Like we were homeschooling 6 kids. That's a lot.
Yeah. So
So
homeschooling six kids, having 6 more probably or so
with daycare.
in daycare.
And then we had an
after
after
school.
school program, which would invite 20, 24 kids that we'd go pick up and have it at the church there in Alva. So to answer your question about how did we get what brought us to Kiowa, we could tell that we needed a change, and we weren't quite sure what that was going to look like. And I remember sometimes we would just like look online for jobs, like in North Carolina or something, and we're like, that's so far away. Why would we want to do that? Our families, are here in Oklahoma. And I want to say it was probably March of last year. I began to change the way I was praying about, hey, God, what do you have for us? And I simply said, Lord, I'm open to whatever you have for me, because I wanted to like start something new. I wanted to go for that change. But at the same time, I was holding on to a lot of my comfort, when you
Kept some strings attached to it.
And even though there were some things that we didn't love about living in Alva, we had some things that we were going to miss, and we're comfortable there. It was really hard for me to move to Kiowa when I'd stop at an intersection at a stop sign, and there'd be a gentleman there, and I'd wave, because that's what we do. And I didn't know who it was. I didn't know that guy's name. And like in Alva, we just, oh yeah, you just get so comfortable. You know everybody, you wave, and so the first few months I was like, man, I'm being friendly and waving, but I don't know who anybody is, So I think for us it was just a time to change, time to switch things up. Like he said, we were approached for like housing and move our business up here. And even 3 years before, we had that same offer. I mean, not exactly the same offer, but still, hey, you guys should come up here, because we heard that the Cox brothers had retired, that there was a need, and that people were kind of getting taken advantage of with, traveling prices for people coming down from wherever they were coming, Pratt or wherever. But it just wasn't the time then. And so I was ready to have a career change myself. I mean, I had been teaching 2nd and 3rd grade for 7 years, and then we just kept having babies. So we had an in-home daycare, because that just seemed like a really good fit for if I wanted to raise our kids and spend the day with them, but still bring in some income. So, but like he said, kids are different these days. It just became a lot for me of, mentally caring for so many people. So now that we're in Kiowa, it presented an opportunity that the kids could go to school, because Alva has some great teachers and some great, leadership. However, I just felt like Alva was too big. And so the fact that our kids can go to school and they have like 15 in their class, it's like, I think that's amazing. Some people may look at that and think, oh, that's too small. They're missing out. And I'm like, no, their teachers actually know their name and like know what they need and can text me about this certain thing. So I don't think we would have changed if I would have had to send my kids to a bigger school or anything like that. So
now, how big classes does like Alva have?
Well,
Are they 30 plus?
Yeah.
like they will have 4 sections in each, like in each grade level.
Oh,
Sometimes
really?
5. It just depends on, and in those classes, I bet it's maxed out to 20, 22 kids. So
I didn't realize they had that many.
Yeah. And she actually went to a small school. She lived in Bartlesville, but she went to a very small,
Kansas,
smaller than
yeah.
what-
Now, where did you go to school?
I went to a private school called Tyro Community Christian School
Okay.
in a little town called Tyro, Kansas. And so
Is it on 160?
I don't know, but
It's really close to Coffeyville.
so you would go, like we go to Branson a lot, and so we'll go right past my old high school.
Is it? Okay. I think I've been by that.
You
because,
probably have.
like, well, we go to Branson from time to time. I think that's 160 across there. 160 or 166. It sets, like, if you're going to Missouri, it sits on your left side, which is the north side, and it's like a big metal building. I mean, it doesn't. You just, it's like what's this doing here?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's very small, and it's kind of in the middle of a triangle. So people from Caney would go there, people from Coffeyville, and then
Okay.
people from Independence. And so it's a very small town. And they have a K through 12 program. My parents taught there. My sister graduated there, and then both of my sisters went and taught there. And so, I had 10 in my class. So
Yeah.
I'm used to small class sizes. I think there's a big benefit to that. So
I was trying to think the other day, I think I had 16 in my graduating class. So I graduated down in Oklahoma. We started with 17 and ended up with 16. One didn't make it.
oh,
I mean, they made it, but
Sure.
they
They just, yeah.
didn't make it through the school year
Right,
with the
right.
rest of the class.
And where did you go to school?
So, you know where Chickasha is?
Yes.
10 miles east of there is a town spelled Alex, like Alex, but down there they call it Ellick. And it's named after an Alexander.
Okay.
Hey, whatever, float your boat down there.
yeah, I will say Oklahoma has some pretty funny town names.
Yeah. Well, there's a T-shirt out there that says something like, say it with me one more time, and it has ELLECK
Yeah.
Mhm.
for Ellick, but
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
Alex.
I see. Yeah, we had, I'm not ragging on anybody, but there was a guy that started in my sister's class, and she was a senior when I was a freshman. And by the time I got to be her in what would have been, her grade, we had caught up to him. So
That's what we
I
call the
think-
red shirt program.
Yeah, I think he finally just gave up. He just went, you know what? I'm 18. I'm a freshman. I'm just going to call it what it is.
Call it a day.
Yeah.
So 6 kids, and Lydia's the oldest. And is she sophomore, freshman,
She's a sophomore.
sophomore?
Mhm.
And okay, let's go on down the list of who you got. Start
Okay.
with Lydia.
We didn't really plan this, but it works out pretty nice. So we have Lydia and Landon.
Okay.
And then we have Mason, we call her Macy, and Maverick. So 2 L's, 2 M's. And then the little girls are Eden and Evan.
Okay.
So there's a little couplet, with the matching initial.
2 boys,
Yes.
4 girls.
Yes, sir. So Landon is in 6th grade.
Mhm.
Maverick is in 3rd grade. Eden is in 1st grade. And Evan is in kindergarten. And I miss Mason.
Nope. Evan's in
Well,
preschool.
pre-K.
Mhm.
I miss Mason.
Yeah, she's in 4th.
Yeah.
I said if I ever got a tattoo, I would get all of their birthdays on my arm.
You have a sleeve.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Just so I could remember what year were you born in?
So we got 4, but there's 16 years between the first 2 and the last 2.
Hmm.
So not as much confusion that way.
True. Yeah. Well, and you kind of learn, the first 2 kind of teach you what to do. And
Yeah.
It's like my dad, I'd give him a hard time because I'd get on one of my kids for something. And, oh, come on. I was like, Dad, you'd have taken me out and showing me what for if I'd have done something like that. So watching how the patience, which I'm the same way. I had less patience with Lydia and Landon, and now Evan probably gets everything she wants.
Yeah. So how have they enjoyed coming to school at South Barber from homeschooling
Yeah.
to public school? Was it a little bit of adjustment?
Yes, there was some adjustment to it, but they were all really excited. I don't know if that says what kind of
Not a-
homeschool
not a knock
we
on
were
the
running,
teacher.
but they were excited. And but at the same time, getting up and getting out of the house by 8 a.m. was a challenge. It still is a challenge. We are night owls. We like our slow mornings. So they've enjoyed the friendships. They've enjoyed their teachers. Yeah, I mean, I think that they've done a really good job of meshing and
Good.
making friends and things like that. So
And so what's it been like for you two coming from Alva to here? Has it been a good transition?
Yeah. Just my answer very quickly is I haven't met a lot of people. So we haven't got involved enough in the community, but we do want to do things, we did the basketball shoot, and that I feel like people if they know us, will say, "Hey, Brandon or Amelia, hey, how's it going?" And so trying to get a little more involved because um, we've been married for almost 15 years. So we've lived for 15 years in Alva. So we know a lot of people. We have a lot of connections through family as well. So, that makes it a little easier. So up here, um, getting to know people and just shoot the ball is, we don't have that yet.
Yeah.
But again, we're just kind of getting started. And we literally moved here the weekend before school started.
Oh, okay.
So
You haven't been here that long. I
No.
was thinking you'd been here longer.
No, we barely got here just in time for them to start school. And the house wasn't finished. So we're all 6 of us in 3 bedrooms, and it was pretty tight. So, and for the first,
Like a
6
slumber
months.
party.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. But for her,
Yeah, and I've enjoyed how quiet it is. And at first, like I was,
Except for the trains.
oh my goodness, yeah, except for the
About
the
every
trains.
7 minutes.
yeah.
Yeah, but it just seemed. At first, I wasn't comfortable with it. I was like, oh my goodness, what? It's just too quiet, And I remember one time we heard sirens. We're like, wait, we shouldn't be excited about that. It's not really a good thing, but it just, you just get
Yeah.
used to the noise. And so for me, that's been good. I was also, like I said, I was in childcare. And so I would have people in and out of our home all
Oh,
the time, And so to have someone ring the doorbell, I'm like, oh, someone's at the door. Okay. So it's those little adjustments. Sometimes we're not, like we said before we got started about just the time when the corner shop closes, just we don't have things that are open 24 hours. We can just go grab something. But
Well, and I think they've just done that here in the recently.
Yeah.
Because I can remember stopping in there one evening going, they're already closed.
yeah,
I thought, they used to stay open till like 8:30 or 9 or something like
I
that.
would imagine they're having a hard time finding. I think that's just the way the world is now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
so
Yeah.
there's some parts I've had to be more prepared, more planned, just think things out before of like, hey, we can't just go grab that real fast. But
Well, where you go after hours, like if they're closed on a Sunday, right down the street, the movie theater. You can get you a bucket of buttered popcorn and a pop to go. You don't have to watch the movie. There's a
they're
lot of
open
people.
on a
Wow.
Sunday evening.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
If there's a movie, usually it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you'll see people come in there that won't go to the
That's-
movie, that they
that's
get the
good to know.
popcorn and a pop or a bottle of water and
Okay.
a thing of
Oh.
candy or something, then go on back home. But sometimes they
That's
got
good
pretty
to
good
know.
movies too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
worth sticking around for. And it's a whole lot less expensive to watch the movie in Kiowa than it is like in Enid or Wichita or Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've really enjoyed it. We've
Yeah.
got the 2 or 3 since we've been here.
Yeah. It's we're movie people.
Yeah.
So I am sure less, but
If I
And I-
can stay awake during a movie, that's like a win for me.
yeah.
Well, and I didn't look the last time I was there, but they used to be one of the few places still that sold candy cigarettes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was a big deal when I was a kid. You get you a box of candy
Yeah.
cigarettes.
Our
Act like
kids
you
would think
Start to
that's
smoked
have
it.
it young.
coolest thing.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
whoever thought of that? I'm like, oh, that. But you don't see those very much
No.
anymore.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they, I need to look the next time. They used to be to the bottom right, and I'm like, wow. I wonder if those were there from the 80s.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't even know people made those
Yeah.
were made anymore.
Yeah.
And they got a different name for them. They don't call them candy cigarettes. But
Sure.
so what has work been like for you up here? So you still have business in Oklahoma, and now up here, been staying busy enough?
Yeah. So I still, my majority of work is in Alva. But she works for me now full time. So she's always there at the office, or
Is that a
generally.
paid position? Or is it a volunteer position?
Oh, great.
Oh man.
We don't have to answer that.
No, it's paid. You
Okay.
know, yeah. I mean, I'm a serious office manager.
There you go.
So
Yeah. So we have again, we haven't really we haven't put up signs at the office, and I've been looking for labor. I just hired another guy. He's got 8 years of experience, and so
and he's from Kiowa. So, so that was cool that he
Good.
came in looking for a job and
yeah,
just with some of the big projects we have, I was like, man, this is a timely, you know, applicant to show up, just and the fact that he had 8 years of experience is
A win-win.
yeah. So he's here. And then we have two guys that work for us in Alva too.
Okay.
So
Because
but-
that's, something it's just a personal observation, and I may be completely wrong, but I'm going to say it. Sometimes in these small communities anymore, it's kind of like you got a pulse. Yeah. You got a driver's license. Yeah. You're hired.
Yeah.
You got to take what you can take.
yeah. You saw that in the oil field when it was really busy, and some of the quality people that were driving semis should not have been behind the wheel, and I don't know how they passed the test. They got them through somehow.
I wonder sometimes, I think too much, but like when I was younger and I'm older than both of you, but you guys would have probably experienced it also. The labor laws weren't as strict years ago. I mean, you had kids like here in this community that would get out of football practice or basketball practice or whatever, and they go to the Kiowa locker and work until they'd be like cleanup crew and stuff, and or help at the co-op or different stuff. And now there's kind of some laws in place that keeps kids from doing certain jobs. It wasn't like they was running the saw or butchering
Right.
at the locker. They was wrapping meat for customer orders, working the counter, different things. And you don't see as much of that. I mean, you see a few kids here and there, like at the sideline or at the plum thicket, but I don't know the last time I seen a high school kid working over at the gas station or, or anywhere else. And
Josh used to. I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he'd be the last one,
Yeah.
and maybe he's just not working the days that I've went in there.
Well, does it have to do with if they sell liquor that they have to be?
That has something to do with it.
You don't think?
No, I said
No,
it does
'cause
have
they's-
something.
They're, I don't know, so maybe like at the plum thicket, they can only work on a certain side of the building
Yep.
because that other side, but, we've only got, and there ain't that many places to work anymore, I guess.
That happens too. Well, and when you get places that are, and I'm not really like a corporate guy, just because it drives labor wages down, and then so they don't mind rotating people through. When I was going to college in Tulsa, I worked at Walmart and was a manager there in Broken Arrow, and that was their deal. Their number one loss through training somebody for 2 weeks and then the person quitting after
Yeah.
a few weeks because they pay you just to watch videos and on safety and all the stuff you have to go through to be, and then and that is a huge you just you and I know this, I talk a lot, I apologize, but
Well, this is a talking podcast.
so well, you get these corporations again that they make it hard for mom and pops, because they sell things so cheap, but it's not worth anything. But the mom and pop, they want to pay. I want to pay my guys a good wage, but I also want to be fair to the people that I'm going and doing work for. And so, one of my first experiences in this area, because there's not, I mean, it's mostly mom and pop down in Alva. not a whole lot of big corporations. Um, and it's probably a little bit harder for that to happen just because we have a lot of license. You have to have a license. You can't just go do whatever. And here, I could hire 3 or 4 guys and they could just go do stuff. But my deal is I have a reputation. I want to keep it a good reputation. And so I want to be fair as far as price is concerned. And then I want a person to have someone who is intelligent about what they're doing or has some knowledge about what they're doing and is polite and courteous and have a conversation with if you saw them, drinking coffee. But it makes the bigger corporations make it hard for people to, because they don't mind, they can charge whatever they want. People are going to pay. They might be upset, but if I'm not around or if not another person around, what are you going to do? Who do you call? It's just going to be another corporation from, a big city. They're going to have to come out here and do the work. And so I trying to balance all of that in a smaller community is tough that I don't think a lot of people understand. And the prices of fuel, that changes price. Just the way, with the tariffs, we've seen increases since COVID has happened. We have seen a huge increase in the price of equipment. So, it's more than doubled. So, and that's just in the last 6 years. So it's getting to be where it's a bigger decision to do these certain things. And again, I'm trying to balance paying somebody a decent wage, manage the intensity of work that we have, and still just have a price that is someone doesn't faint because they, and an example would be there was a lady here in town. She was an older lady. She said her heater wouldn't work. She had just had another company there. I come in, they put a ECM motor on. Should have just had a regular blower motor. Isn't that expensive? Maybe would have cost $500 to get put in. Doing that, they had to change wiring. They changed the wiring. They burnt the board up. The board is $400. My cost is $400. So, they had to have known that it was damaged before they left because it wouldn't heat or it wouldn't cool. The fan would constantly run. So you have things like that. And this is kind of why I appreciate Oklahoma is because you do have to have a license. You can't just send any Tom, Dick, or Harry into a house to do something. So I want to keep that standard and apply it here in this area. So that way people aren't being overcharged because, the lady was unable to have stuff fixed. With that, we also give away a unit every year in Alva. That's something I'd like to be able to do up here.
Like a HVAC unit?
Yeah, so we
how do you get in that drawing?
I know.
That's a pretty good deal.
So as we're at people's homes, we see people that are needy. And obviously we can't do it everybody's, but we see somebody who is working hard. They're not living off the government. They are working hard, and their unit's just nickeling and diming them. So usually it's spirit led. I haven't found anybody, and then all of a sudden I go, hey, I know who we're going to give the unit to.
He'll come home from a call. I know who it's going to this year.
So it's just we do want to do something though that is a little bit. We want to get the community involved to an extent. Because there are people that need things. And in fact, I was talking to a guy at church today, and he was talking about how there was somebody who needed a unit, and they were able to raise money and buy him a unit. Um, and so I want to be able to help people. I actually got into this to help people. Um, and so um, that's where my heart is in this, is that I like to help people. I've tried to step back a little bit because I would work all the time. I mean, all the time. I was just working. And so,
Well, and I just want to interject because he does have this helpful heart and he does want, like, anytime we go somewhere and there's someone on the side of the road, he thinks he needs to pull over and help that person, you know? And I'm like, we are already late and we have 6 kids in the car. It will be for somebody else to come, you know? But he just has that heart. He just wants to help. And so he explained it to me. He's like, I can't rest at night with my family comfortable when I know that these people don't have AC right now, you know? So I do appreciate that about him, but there have been some boundaries that we've had to be like, yeah, your kids do. They really do need you. So you're going to have to say no to someone, because we all know that when you say yes to someone, you're saying no to someone else. And there was a time where he was saying no to us because he was trying
a
to
lot.
help
Yeah.
out, you know, his clients.
Well, and that's a double-edged sword too. I mean, one, you got a servant heart, but two, you have a business
Mhm.
that there's no guaranteed paycheck unless you are working. But there's got to be, as you said, some boundaries there.
Yeah.
'Cause I get that. I've been down that road before, and even uh, it's tough, you know.
Yeah. And I had to remind him, like, Bushman Heat and Air is a for-profit business. It is a not the other way, which he would love to have a nonprofit and just be able to, like, you know, give away and stuff. But it's finding that balance of, like,
It's so. I always say when people are self-employed, I mean, yeah, you're self-employed, but really you're in the people business. That's what it boils down to.
Mhm.
And once upon a time, uh, I did not want to see one of the businesses here in town close, so I bought it with zero experience. I mean, I tried and tried and tried to get somebody to buy it. And I even used the analogy that I'm just Moses in this deal. I'm going to get somebody there, but I'm not going to experience the promised land. I'm just going to let them experience
Mhm.
it, right? And every time, right before the deal would go down, something would happen. And it come down to, I thought, I'll just buy it. I'm tired of, well, I wasn't tired. It was like, after a while, it's like, you weren't Moses. You were supposed to be the one to do it. And I had a career.
Mhm.
I didn't need it, but I didn't want to see the business close. I always said, you look at Kiowa, there's not a lot of corporate stuff here. It's all locally owned. You let a business close on Main Street, it makes it that much easier for the next one to close.
Mhm.
And so we bought the business, and uh, it boiled down to, you got to keep everybody happy. Well, I mean, you don't have to
Mhm.
keep everybody happy, but the goal is turn out a good quality product with good customer service. Because people say, hey, you need to shop local. Well, you do. But if you got a terrible product and a bad attitude, I'm not going to go there just because you're local.
Right.
Right.
You know, we need a good product, good customer service. And there was a time we had a big storm come through here. What was it, 2017, and knocked the power out for like 3 days. Well, I talked to a guy that had a big generator, and I said, back that thing up. We'd bought the donut shop, then rebranded it
Mhm.
Main Street Coffee House. And I said, back that up. I said, we're going to fire the donut shop up tomorrow and make donuts. And I did not bring the cash register in or nothing. It was making them. You want something? Take it. And it was funny that people kind of resisted the free donuts.
Mhm.
And then we made burritos. And what would I owe you? Nothing. Take it. You've been out of electricity for
Yeah.
3 days now.
Yeah.
Here's something nice. Warm food.
Yeah.
You know, you would not believe the amount of money. Because the one thing we didn't do was take the tip jar down. Packed full. And I went through, if somebody wrote a check, I ripped it up. I said, we didn't do this for that.
Yeah.
You know, but you feel led to do those kind of things. So, I mean, I can get where you come from on some of that, and I can get where you come from, because I used to get those talks,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but I always said, well, I could pay somebody to do it or I could do it myself. And I really think I can do it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever had that thought?
Oh yeah. And that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
and even with the guys as good as they are, and they try hard, they make mistakes. And, there's times where you want to yank your hair out. But yeah, I think they kind of understand where I'm at too. And so I'm trying to build more of a family than just a business. So um that's we've been blessed, and there was something they had said that made me think again. This slowing down part was, if we move to Kiowa, I can slow down.
Yeah, good luck.
Well, it has added some challenges.
Yeah, it has.
We've had several vehicles break down here lately. And so, trying to move vehicles around from, in town wouldn't be such a big deal, but 20 miles away. And we've got jobs in Hartner and up here in Kiowa, and just trying to get everybody to, you're trying to, I don't know even what game it would be considered, but there's a lot of moving pieces.
It's almost like Tetris at times.
Yeah.
Just trying to get something to fit where it should. And sometimes you're just like, it's just going to go there for a bit.
Yeah.
We'll work around it.
Well, and with the car thing, we have a newly licensed driver. So she wants the
Oh,
car.
that's right.
She wants to
Yeah.
go do some fun stuff too. And I'm just like, honey.
You haven't played the card that, listen, Kiowa's not so big that you can't walk everywhere.
Believe me, I have said that multiple times, and it has not sank in.
Which the younger ones just hop on their bike, and they love
Right.
going to get a drink or going
Yeah.
around to their friends. But she hasn't got on her bike since she moved here. I don't know why.
I think last year it could have been November because it was so warm, but it was a warm day, and it was a Sunday afternoon, and Eden and Evan wanted to go, and Evan probably still would have been free at the time, and so yeah, you can go to the stop and get a drink. So they walked down to the corner stop. He was like, "What are you doing?"
Because in Alva, I'm like, I don't let them go where I can't see them.
Right.
Now I have just free reign, and so there's a group of moms in Kiowa that I'm just like, have you seen the Bushmans? It's my daily check-in. I'm looking for them, because I just trust they're okay, and that they're having fun. So I have kind of reined back on that because I'm like, I'm going to wear these moms out with or I need to get like a tracking device in them of
Yeah.
like, they're at the school park. They're at the
If
city
it's
park.
like anything else, it'll pop up on Facebook in the community groups.
Yeah.
Lost kids down Main Street.
I haven't got that brave
kinda
yet.
like
to
the
be
lost
hey,
dogs.
Yeah.
It's somebody posted something. We live 8 miles outside town. I have a couple guard dogs for livestock guardian dogs, that during a certain time of year, January to March, is generally coyote breeding season. And for some reason, they want to wander a little farther from the house during the day. And somebody posted it on Facebook that these dogs were lost and hungry. And I'm like, they weigh 100 pounds. They ain't missed a meal. I don't know what your
Yeah.
definition of hungry is, but it's not those two right there.
What kind of dogs?
They're Akbash, Miramar, Pyrenees cross. No,
wow.
Okay.
Anatolian cross. They're a 3-way cross, but I don't think they got Pyrenees. Akbash, Miramar, Anatolian cross, what they are.
Okay.
But they're big.
Yeah.
And they're home every night doing what they're supposed to do, because most of the time a predator's not coming during the day. It's coming at night when everything's calm and nobody sees them.
Yeah.
So during the day, they may wander a mile or two away, and I always laugh. Well, I laugh. It's aggravating too that it happened last year around this time. I get a phone call on a Sunday morning, and I'm fixing to go to church, and I thought, well, that person ain't called in a long time. And then it occurred to me, oh, they're working at the sheriff's office now. So I took the call and said, well, I think your dogs are up on the highway. And one of them was right beside me. And I said, yeah, if there is, it might be one. I'll go up there and look. And sure enough, I pull up there. There's some random guy I didn't know, and there's the deputy. And the guard dog is sitting on its butt shaking hands with him. And I'm like, that's nice. And the guy had fed it. And the dog didn't want to come with me. And I said, that's my dog, but you two are going to have to leave so he'll know that he's supposed to come back with me, because I think he fed him a cheeseburger. Now they've taught him how to shake. So now I've got a guard dog
yeah.
that when you walk by him at the house, he'll sit on his butt and want to shake hands with you. I'm like, I'll shake your hand as long as you continue to guard livestock.
Yeah. That's
But
funny.
we didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. So that's funny because I say it's funny, but I get where you're coming from. We forget that, you know, I never looked at Alva as that big, but coming from where you come from, that yeah, I mean, it's got a Walmart, so it's the big city now.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and you know, it is still small, but there are people that you don't know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that walk around and not that they're bad people, just but I'm saying. And that, you know, I think there's been a couple murders, you know, and you don't expect
Oh, yeah.
you know, and it's there are people that make bad decisions a lot more, I'd say there maybe.
Well, there's more of them
Yeah.
to
That's
have that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's that I don't care for. Not that anything couldn't happen here, but it you know the old term, it takes a village. And
Mhm.
so if you were to see my kids out, you kind of and you saw them doing something they weren't supposed to, you tell me, you know, and there's a kid in in town and he doesn't care for us because we started a business and he'll give me the bird.
Oh,
And he's a
nice.
kid. And I mentioned something to his dad, but apparently he's still doing
he's giving
something.
the bird to the guys as they're driving our
Yeah.
vehicles around town. They're like, "Hey, some kid's flipping us off." I'm
Yeah.
Like a kid?
He was. I think he might be able to drive now.
Okay.
It's just, but you know, you just. So I said something once. I'm not going to say anything again. But it's just different. It's you know, there are parts that you don't want your kids to be involved in. It's
Yeah.
just and again, when you have better relationship, and we don't have that just yet here, but getting to know people and knowing that they're going to watch your kids, just getting a text message from a principal saying, you know, son's usually pretty good. Today he was pretty mouthy. We don't know what's going on. You know, and we appreciate that because we want to know because we don't want him to grow up thinking that's okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm not saying that our kids are perfect. I'm sure they've flipped some people off before too. So,
better not have.
well, I'm sure they've done it to each other. Probably the little girls try to figure out which finger's the bad finger. And I'm just like, don't worry about it. Just put your hands down, you know.
They're all bad. It's all about the intent. They're all bad. It doesn't matter if you're giving somebody the pinky, you know.
Yeah.
It's the heart that's.
Well, I always thought when you was in a community like Kiowa, I mean, you got to discipline your own kid, but it was just built in that you discipline another kid too, even if it wasn't yours and they was acting up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I find myself doing that all. I remember, oh yeah, I wasn't my kid, but they needed talking to on that.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and then also just to kind of like, well, it's done, it's over. You know, not to go around and, oh, can you believe that family? Da 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 da. You know, it's like because we all have the same goal. We all
Yeah.
want our kids to be, you know, God fearing, respectful people. And so, I just appreciate. I feel like the parents here all join efforts in what I've seen. You know, just coming in.
Yeah.
That there's not like a competition to get there. We're all trying to get there. So
and that's the other thing, you know, coming from Oklahoma to Kansas, we'd always make fun of Kansas because you know they're liberal. But leaving Alva and the kids going to school here, and they don't mind praying before games and during or you know after a game, and the teachers kind of have that same heart for the Lord. That's
do,
we
yeah.
like that, and it's not political or politics first. Alva is very politically driven.
Mhm.
For such a small community, there's a lot of politics. And so I don't play the politics game. You know, it doesn't matter to me.
You know, you're not the only person that ever told me that Kansas was liberal I got a friend of mine that still lives in Oklahoma, and I reminded him, I said, you know, we didn't legalize marijuana like you
Right,
guys
Right.
did.
right.
Yeah.
And I said, we may elect a Democrat as the governor, but I said, the Senate and the House is always majority Republican. Yeah, I said, I don't
hmm
remember when it's been the opposite of that. And what that means is a lot of times the governor might come up with an idea that's not so good, and then she changes her mind because she realizes it's not going to go through. But Kansas is pretty conservative in a lot of areas. Now, not necessarily in like your line of work, you know,
Yeah.
but like, oh, if you look at like food safety and things like that, it supersedes anything Oklahoma usually does. There's some things you see in some small towns that should never happen. It's like it's not legally supposed to happen in the food safety world,
Right.
but nobody ever turns them in.
Yeah,
You know,
I've seen that with the childcare. I mean, I was a licensed, you know, small and large home daycare provider in the state of Oklahoma. I mean, I know what paperwork looks like. And when we enrolled Evan, you know, she had to go get a physical at 3 years old to attend daycare for 2 mornings a week, you know, and I was just like, goodness. And then on the exam, I mean, they go all in. And I thought, I don't think my children playing sports have had this extensive of a, you know, so I've seen where
yeah.
they really do have some guidelines. I have been impressed just with the school district, and I'm not sure if it's all Kansas or not, but without going into too much detail, there was an issue with one of our kids that the special ed teacher picked up on in pre-K for one of our kids. And not until she got here in fourth grade did we finally get the piece to the puzzle, because the school went ahead and did more testing. And so I remember telling my mom, I was like, even if that's the only reason we moved here was so that she could get that, you know, extra service, that was a win for me. So then just recently, I'm talking to my friends who are teachers in Oklahoma, and I said, why don't you think that was ever like looked into more? She said it was because of money, you know? And so I was like, well, kudos to Kansas for putting money into their students to get them what they need. Because um, I remember sitting in that IEP meeting, and I'm just like, yes, this is what it is. This is what, you know, because
Yeah.
just how they explained it and coming together, I was like, wow, took us to fourth grade.
Yeah. Kansas gets a bad rap because, well, there's 105 counties, and it takes 101 of those counties to outvote 4 counties, is
Mhm.
what it does.
Right.
You don't see that in Oklahoma. I don't know why that's never happened, because you see some stuff that comes out of the University of Oklahoma that's uh, very liberal.
Yes.
Like I can remember when like the student senate quit saying like the Pledge of Allegiance down there. I thought, in Oklahoma they would do that, but you know, is what it is. But yeah, there's usually during elections you'll see uh, majority of the elected officials are usually Republican, but you'll see a lead for a Democrat early on. It's because it's the metropolitan areas: Sedgwick County, Johnson County, Shawnee County, Riley County, which is where universities are. They'll be trending blue, and by the end of the night, the other 101 counties outvoted them.
Yeah.
Now, it takes 101 counties to outvote them. I mean, it's not easy.
My uncle taught in Attica for several years when he first started teaching. I think it was when he first started teaching. Then they moved to Hillsboro, Kansas, and they've been there ever since. But his daughter teaches in Kansas City. Been trying to get him to move here
Yeah.
because her husband went to HVAC school. And so, but he's an inspector now in Kansas City, and I guess he enjoys it. But I've been trying to get him to move back here. They've got several kids. And so Lydia, she got to play volleyball, which they don't have down there. Wrestling, you know, I'm kind of surprised. I wrestled at Medford. So,
Now, we do have a wrestling club in the county, but
yeah,
you got to go to Medicine Lodge.
we weren't signed up early.
Yeah, I think we'll look into that now that we been settled. I'm really looking forward to the summer here, just because um, the pool. I'm
Yeah.
excited to get our kids in the pool and just, I think it slows down even more, where you can get to know people and relax.
Well, and I think every kid gets to go swimming for free, usually out during the
Mhm.
summer.
Mm.
We got a family that, well, that's what they've done in the past is paid for everybody
Yeah.
where the kids can go swimming
Oh,
for
wow.
free.
Well,
So,
so um, that is one thing that it probably won't change for a while. Um, but she is very involved in the church, and I am too. But so I had mentioned to you previously that I do college ministry um, at Alva Wesley. She does the kids ministry at Alva Wesley, and so we are pretty involved there. So if we were able to get into a church here, um, and Daniel Stanley has invited us a few times, and we did get to go. What was that for? Christmas?
yeah, Christmas Eve service.
Yeah. But not having that, I mean, if we could get involved in a church, I'm sure, socially things would change very rapidly. But
Which is really kind of neat though, because I love our church. I'm the children's pastor there, and now I'm run the food bank there for the church. And we met the Simpsons because they would bring the boys from the boys ranch down, and they would. I had those boys
Okay.
in Sunday school class and things. And I remember when we were moving, there was 3 people that I knew: Gail McNett, Lindsay Rhodes, and then the Simpsons. And so I sent them all a little message. Hey, tell me about the town. And so it's just, I was thinking about it today. It's Sunday, we're coming home, and I was like, they're pretty faithful. They will bring those boys, and they come themselves. And I think there's even a couple from Medicine that go down to Alva Wesleyan too.
Really?
Yeah. So, um, anyways, I was just kind of reflecting today on the way home, because when we moved, I never felt a release to like leave everything in Alva. We have some amazing clients that have been so good to Brandon all these years. And I just didn't think it's like, okay, we're just going to close doors and see you later. So there's a
Well,
blending that has to.
and I'm going to throw this out there. I don't think you can
Mhm.
because, like, when we had that coffee shop / donut shop, always said, we will not be able to pay the bills just off Kiowa.
Mhm.
It takes Kiowa, Burlington,
Yeah.
Alva, Medicine Lodge, Anthony, Attica,
Yeah.
Sharon. It
mm-hmm.
takes all them little communities, and that's just part of it.
And people said, well, you're not really going to feel connected to the community in Kiowa until you go like all in. And for my kids' sake at the beginning, for sure, I didn't want them to leave their church, because for us, our church family has been there like our real family. And so, and like I said, I just didn't feel a release of leaving children's ministry. That's, even though I'm not caring for kids all day, it's given me a new joy for when I do go on Wednesday nights and Sundays. And so I like that. I like that it's more enjoyable now.
So was it Michael that was bringing them down to church?
Yeah. And, well, they've had different house parents or helpers. And so
Okay.
sometimes they would bring them too,
So do you ever remember Gage? You
Uh-huh.
remember him?
Yes.
So I'm one of the volunteers out there, Boys Ranch.
Uh-huh.
I can take him
Mhm.
wherever. And
Yeah.
we would take him. We had Gage, Logan, and Dylan were on
Mhm.
some of my judging teams in 4-H. And Gage went with us one year to Colby, Kansas, to a livestock and crops judging contest for 4-H. And we was just, me and some people was just talking about it yesterday. And I said, I'll never forget that drive, because it was around this time of year. And he was fired up. He won the senior
Yeah.
division of the crops contest and had placed good in the livestock judging. Because I remember telling him, he goes, man, Mr. Goodnow, I've never gave reasons. I said, you'll have no problem giving reasons, because you have no problem talking.
Yes.
And that's all reasons is
Yeah.
talking and explaining what you're doing. We're on the way home, and I mean, he read every sign on I-70 from Colby
Yeah.
until we got off I-70. I mean, it was like, hey, Big Bob Shotgun Shop.
Uh-huh.
Hey, such and such Ford dealers. Hey, I mean,
Yeah.
when I let him out at the Boys Ranch, it was like midnight. it was everything I could do to drive from Hazleton back to my house. I'm like, man, I am exhausted now. I shouldn't have
Yes.
let him out.
Yeah,
I
he was
wasn't going to go
keeping
to
you
sleep
awake.
with him
Yeah.
talking. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just one conversation after another. He turned around one time. He goes, hey, and I won't say the kid's name, but there was another kid in the vehicle. We had two different vehicles going, and there was a kid. He was sleeping in the seat behind us, didn't have his seatbelt on. He goes, you want me to wake him up, tell him to put his seatbelt on? I'm like, no, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Yep.
We're fixing to pull over here.
Yeah.
We'll address it. You got to wear your seatbelt, but don't
funny.
wake him up just yet.
That's funny.
Yeah, Gage was a hoot. We used to call him Grandpa.
Well, I was going to say the first road trip I think I took with her family, her grandma would do the same thing. She would read everything. Well, it's 55 here. Yeah. Well, there's a school zone coming up. Just every time. And so her dad was like, "I will give you." I can't remember what he said, but he's like, "I will pay for all of your meals for this trip if you drive." So he was we're out too.
Now, do you remember Logan that was
Mhm.
around? So we called
Yeah.
him Yeah.
Okay.
Because every time you talk to him, you go, oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you could tell him the sky's brown. Yeah, it
Mhm.
is. Yeah. And we're like, okay, that's yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
I've really been impressed with all of the young guys that have come that they've brought. They're so respectful, and I mean, I would be trying to teach them in a Sunday school class, and we're trying to rein them in, not in a bad way, just
Yeah.
in a excited,
There-
talkative,
yes.
kind of a playful way. And that's one thing. I don't teach the high school Sunday school class anymore, but today with the little kids, I mean, the guy in there, he's helping everybody else find the book of the Bible that we're trying to find the verse in. He's like, oh, I do this all the time, and the other ones are like, okay, John is after Luke, is trying to sing the songs, and he's over there. And so, I mean, I've never been out there. I've never got to tour. We've talked about we wanted to. My dad, he's always wanting to, meet up with them because he leads a homeless shelter in Bartlesville. And so he says, if Michael can get them now, then I won't see them later,
Bingo.
And so, and he's heard him speak before, and he's really, supportive of the mission that they do out there. So anyways, I think that they do a great job. The boys that I've met have always been.
I told Michael those ones that went with me to 4-H stuff, I said, they were the last ones I worried about getting in trouble.
Mhm.
I mean, they were the last ones. I mean, they just, so well-mannered. They would, all of our judging trips were sponsored. We had a Cattlemen's Association in this county that pays for everything, so the kids don't have to. And that opens up a lot of doors for kids that may not have been financially able to travel and compete and stuff. And they would, inevitably we'd be at a restaurant. They'd say, is it okay if I order this? And I'm like, are you going to eat it? Yeah, order it then.
Yeah.
Don't order something you're not going to eat, but there's no restrictions here. Maybe don't get the $100 steak,
Right.
Yeah.
but no, they're good kids. And that's what I told Michael. I said, I need to round up a new group of them because we had that little group, but now they're gone. And no, that's a great ministry that he's got going.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It just to see that thing become what it's become. I always tell him, I still remember going out there, and it was the Freedom Gates Boys Ranch. And I told him, I said, boy, for a ranch, I think you'd have a little bit more than a couple of plug horses over there that looks like they need to go to the glue factory. And so we got him a heifer. And from that heifer started a few more cows. And then they hired Cody, and Cody needed to know, he goes, we got this herd of goats that this guy gave us, and I don't know anything. So I went out there and we was visiting, and I know goats. And so we're talking, and I could tell you just get the sense, right? And I finally just said, you like these things? No. Do the kids like them? No. Well, why do you have them? Somebody gave them to us. I said, well, that doesn't mean you got to keep them.
Yeah.
Won't you trade them or sell them for something that you want? And we found a guy that was looking for some goats, and he had some calves. They were looking for some calves. They did a little swap deal, and we had them come out one year. It would have been, I can't remember. It might have been 2020, the COVID year. It was the day after Thanksgiving, and we told them we'd process the calves and stuff. So we took them out to my house. They just had a few calves at that time. And we made everybody have a job. You know, one guy was going to take notes of what we gave. One, you know, we taught them how to give a shot. We taught them how to pour on insecticide and stuff, how to bring them up the alleyway. Those kids didn't know we set them up for success because I said, we're going to run everything through here without doing anything. And then we're going to bring them back and they're just going to walk right in. Well, right outside the chute was a good bale of hay. And so as everything walked out, it went over there and got them a bite to eat. And so when they come back through, them calves just, and so we made it easy. And one of those kids uttered the words that I don't think's ever been uttered when working cattle. Oh, I wish we had more of these. This is fun.
Yeah, usually I hear it's like, I'm sorry for what I said when I was working cattle.
That's exactly.
And he could say, I'm sorry for what I said when it was 110 degrees and I couldn't figure this thing out.
There's the old cartoon where the guys at the pearly gates, it says, sorry about that. We see here where he was working cattle at that time. You know, that's what's usually like.
Yeah.
So
I got to do that with Chad Booty a little bit, and Don Zahorsky, part-time job. I worked for Chesapeake on my days off, and I enjoyed it. I really did. Get to be a little bit rough, and you know.
So what else we need to talk about? Kids are enjoying school. You're enjoying Kiowa. How's the easiest way if somebody's looking for some HVAC stuff? Facebook, you got a website. How do they find you?
I'd say give us a call or text, and our number is 580-327-7737.
And we'll put that in the podcast.
Okay, yeah. And that, I mean, since I've stopped childcare, I am his office manager. So I have the phone with me and excuse me. So give us a call and we'll get you on the schedule and then we'll take care of your needs. But right now it's getting, you know, everyone wants to get their ACs prepped for the summer. And this man is really big on doing it before the season hits than in the middle of the summer in the heat. So
that's a good idea. It's a good idea to figure out if it's going to work or not right now versus when you really need it to work.
Well, and it's a win-win. You know, we don't have to put in 16-hour days when it does get hot because we can mitigate a lot of the issues that you would have. And we did the homestead in Alva. They got 65 units. And this is really the only tangible, you know, really provable way I could say that this is worth its weight in gold. Usually we're there once or twice a week during the summer. We went through it. We changed what capacitors need changed. Told them what units were completely empty, you know, of Freon, and if you're going to want to think about doing something with in the future, because the price of Freon is going through the roof. So being able to, you know, give them a heads up on all of that. And I think we showed up one time that summer, just so being able to wash everything out and get eyes on it. It makes a huge difference on the longevity of it and your wallet. Because for $16 a month or $22 a month, you know, we've come out twice a year, inspect, clean and flush the AC, inspect the heater, check the filters, just make sure everything is going to work accurately. And then on top of that, so that's a win for them because they don't have to spend as much money. And things, you know, don't exacerbate by not getting a capacitor changed, so you don't have to spend more money because that will cause other things to go wrong. But when it does get hot, they don't have to wait or shouldn't have to wait. And if something does happen, we're going to be there that day. If we've done an AC prep on your unit, we're going to be there that day. If it's 10 o'clock at night when we get there, we're going to be there and you're going to get to sleep in some cool air. But for us, like I said, it's kind of trying to take the curve off, you know, and stipend that a little bit just because it is hard, and we're not even into April yet, and we
Mhm.
already hit 99 degrees. So it seems like usually you get a little bit further down the road. I think a few years ago, I took on a construction job, and I was like, we can do this. It was replacing windows, siding, painting it, and putting in some air conditioning. And it was probably the second week in May, and it hit 102.
Yeah.
And I had to sub the rest of the job out because I couldn't finish, which, typically through May, it'd be in the 80s, maybe 90s, but it hit 102. And it was like, well, and it just was just nonstop after that. So I've hired some guys to hopefully also help with some of that. But we do have a lot of stuff going on commercially right now as well. So just trying to be able to get to everybody because we want to help everybody. And so,
Well, and we've really tried to keep the customer first, and think of them and their needs. And like, even when our vendors say, hey, you're going to have a price increase in April, it was like, well, we've got to tell all those people who have a quote currently, hey,
Mhm.
If you're going to do it, don't wait 2 weeks, do it now.
Yep.
So we just like to give everybody the information that they need so that they can make their decision. And like these service plans that we're starting, people have been asking for them for a while, and so now we're finally ready to like go live with them and start signing people up. And I was telling someone, I said, it's more like a loyalty program. It's like, hey, you're the ones who normally call us twice a year anyways. This is actually going to be less expensive if you do it monthly. So we have you in mind for this. And I
So
think people
that's
appreciate that when they
like 16, would you say 16 something a month?
it's $16
month.
for the base plan,
Mhm.
and then $22 and it's more extensive. But on the $22 plan, you can save 10%. So if we have to come out there and if something does go wrong, you have a fan motor go bad, you'll save 10% on that. On the 16 months, you'll save $5 or 5% of the call. And that really is everything, So if your compressor goes bad, you can save $250. So I mean, it can save a lot of money.
Huh. Should have
Yeah.
let me know that earlier on in the conversation.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
can you splice that to the beginning?
Well, we could have talked a whole lot
Mhm.
more about that. I mean, we've been going for a while now. I'm like, well, shoot fire.
I
Huh.
know.
Okay.
Well, we'd be willing to come back and shoot the bull again if you need.
So do you utilize Facebook or anything like that where you've got this information too?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just Bushman Heat and Air.
Okay.
It's a public, platform that you can look at the pictures and you can message us there. Um, like I said, I have the phone. So, I mean, I will see it.
Okay.
Try to set some boundaries of like, it's 9 o'clock. I'm not going to reply now. I should be getting my kids to bed, but we'll always see it and we can
Okay.
reply back on a business time. So.
And we have commercial plans as well. So if you've got, multiple units, a way to
Yeah,
service that as well.
because we do have some clients, they have like 10 units. And so we want to make it beneficial to them too. So their pricing is a little different if you get more than 3 units on a property. But
And back to the being able to give a free unit away. If it once the numbers make sense, if we can get enough business in the town to where we can afford to do that, that's kind of what our goal is. So we would like to start being able to do that in this year. And I'm hoping that next year, next about this time, May, we'll usually do a customer appreciation, have a cookout, and then tell everybody, if that person doesn't mind us telling that we're giving a unit away, some people do, but tell them, hey, these are the recipients of the free unit that is being given away this year.
Nice.
So
yeah, this year we're actually doing something a little different. One of our clients lost their daughter this year, and she was just a bright light. She had a strong faith, and she was just had a really giving spirit. So this year we're actually going to give the unit away in her honor. And so we've reached out to her parents and just inquired, like, do you want to be a part of that decision? And So we're just we're excited to see where that can go to, and you know, pay respects to people that have been pretty awesome to us.
Mhm.
You know, in our I was telling Brandon, and I don't want to get this wrong, but there's friends that will never be your clients, and then there's clients that will never be your friends, and then there's clients that somehow become your friends. And so I would say that the Chapmans have been like that for Brandon. And so that's just why he decided, you know, as soon as um it might have been as soon as we heard. I mean, it was just laid on your heart. Let's do this in honor of her. So that's going to be in the works. And since we're bringing them in, they're awesome, gracious people. I don't think that they have someone in mind right now, but we do want to present it to them, you know, like, hey, you want to
That's a
help us
good
make that
analogy that you
decision?
had. Yeah, that's how me and Michael Simpson met,
Mm-hmm.
that donut shop. Never knew each other. And then he discovered that, oh, front door's open at 1:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And them Simpsons, they get up early and work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we might
Yeah.
be, he, or his dad, either one might be in the back of that donut shop at 2:33 in the morning when I'm making donuts, and we'd be carrying on conversations and got to know each other real well. And it was one of them, you know, your client becomes your friend, or a friend
Mhm.
becomes a client, or what, you know,
Yeah.
all of that. That's how it all happened. Never knew him till then.
Mhm.
You know, well, I tell you how it happened. It happened over a turkey burrito,
Oh, wow.
because they don't eat pork.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I can make a turkey burrito.
Mhm.
I'll make some. You see if you like them. And if you like them, I'll keep making them.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's how it started.
Well, I was going to tell this story earlier. I have a friend who, when I first started, helped me by getting me into a building. And he's an older man. I think he turned 80 this year.
Mhm.
March 30 turned 80. But we go eat every week. And he was telling me last week that him and his family pulled over to help a family that had, I guess, had a flat tire, and no one was helping him. And I think it was fairly brisk. They lived in Montana, and it ended up being, I think, Bing Crosby. And so just because, you know, but everybody else was passing, and he was saying at that point in time, you know, in the 40s, it not everybody would stop for them. So I think he got signed record.
Wow.
And so, you know, it's just doing what's right just because it's right. May not pay, you know, may not be a Bing Crosby every time, but it is just like you said, it'll set you up to do things and work with boys that, you know, will impact you and that you will impact them. And so I believe that I do believe that there's a chain reaction doing good for people and watching it grow.
Yep.
So
Well, thank you for taking time out of your evening, and enjoyed the visit, getting to know you a little bit
Yeah.
better. We ate some popcorn, visited a basketball game one time, but that's been about it. But
I know I feel a little bad because we didn't ask you any questions.
that's what
So-
I'm here for. Now, I gotta, before we wrap up, I gotta say one thing, not specifically for you, but I want to remind people that we got a newspaper in this county called Gyp Hill Premier. It's not the old Kiowa News, but it's Gyp Hill Premier, and they've done a tremendous job here lately of covering the entire county. It's available at the hometown market. It's $1. You can't
Wow.
hardly buy
No.
anything for $1
Yeah.
anymore. And what I've appreciated about that newspaper is they let every side be told. So this next week, people have an interest. If you don't know, there's going to be 2 town hall meetings, one in Sharon, Kansas, one in Medicine Lodge, Kansas, and representatives for Google will be there because there's a proposed Google data center going in Barber County. And Jason Jump has done a good job of sharing the stuff that people are concerned about. And there's been articles from people going to some different places that came back with more positive stuff. Every side's being told. So I would encourage people, if you want to learn more about that, it's in that paper almost every week. You can learn from it right there. That's more of a trusted source than Facebook or anything else. And if you want to go to those meetings, guess where you can find that schedule? It's in the Gyp Hill Premier. I'm not going to tell you what time the meetings are.
Right.
You can go buy the Gyp Hill Premier for $1 at the hometown market. And while you're there, buy something else. You know, that's my deal. Is I usually go there once a week, get the paper, and get a few other things. So I gave a little plug for. Had nothing to do with you guys. It was just on my mind. I want to give Jason a little plug there because that's been a really good newspaper for our county. They've filled a void that we had since the Kiowa News has been gone. You guys weren't around when we had the old Kiowa News. It was it's funny how small towns sometimes people don't realize what they had until it's gone.
I know.
You know, you'd hear paper's a shell of itself. Well, then it's gone, and you're like, boy, I wish I had that paper.
You know,
Yeah.
if you don't mind me saying, a Harvard graduate businessman talking to me one day. He said spending $1 out of town is like spending $7 in your town. That big of a difference. And my mom, you know, we're from a small town, and she was a teacher. We didn't have a lot of money, and she would go to Jumbo's, you know, every time she'd get a paycheck, and we'd load the whole van full of groceries, and that's what we lived on. But then, you know, I guess probably 15 years ago, the store closed down, and it may not have been that long ago. But you get upset, or even before it was closed down, you'd be upset because they wouldn't have sour cream, or if they did, it was out of date. And I kind of made the example of, you know, if you'd have bought from them for the last 20 years, they'd probably have sour cream. I understand it would have made things a little bit more, you know, tight. But if you buy from them now, then you won't have to complain about, like you said, they're not being around. And I think there is a place for, you know, small communities. Traveling isn't what it used to be. You know, 70 miles isn't so far anymore. So with that, a person can get a business in town. You've got the internet being able to put everything on there to sell. So I do think there is a huge value in spending money in your town. Like you said, if you're going to get a newspaper, go in and buy some groceries and do some things there. So,
You know, I've shared with people, if you truly want to try this, try it. There's a name brand store in this town. There's some name brand stores outside this town. And they do not beat Hometown Market, which is our local grocery store, on everything. They don't. And sometimes if you'll pay attention, you're actually paying more for a smaller packaged product at the name brand place than what you'd pay for a bigger packaged product at Hometown Market.
Right.
And I do that because I'm weird and I go in places and look, and then I go compare it to Hometown Market, and it's nothing to see like a 6-ounce package of a name brand sausage at a name brand store, $1.50 more than one that's like a 10 or 12-ounce package at Hometown Market.
Yeah.
But yet, just because their toilet paper is a little higher, everything's higher.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's the nature of the beast. They are at the mercy of their supplier. I can promise you, there ain't nobody getting rich at the Hometown Market right now. Right.
Yeah.
But you have to charge a little bit more than what it costs you because they got bills to pay. You know all this.
Yeah.
But for the knotheads that want to bash, you know, a local business like the Hometown Market, well, they were expensive. Well, they're not that way on every single product in the entire store.
Yeah.
That might have been that day, that one product, but daggum, you know, somebody got all fired up. All right, they're delivering groceries now. They've delivered groceries forever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
oh, like, wow. Yeah. But,
There's a lot of misinformed and uninformed people.
yes.
And so,
Yeah.
and a lot of people just don't read. They go, all their information is based on hearsay. And so it's unfortunate, but that is kind of the way. And Facebook, and I told my kids today, I said, very seriously because my son was arguing about something goofy. And I said, here's the deal. You've got the truth of God. It's the word of God. Anything that is contradictory to the word of God is not the truth. And it doesn't matter how factual it seems, it is not the truth. And there's a lot of things that seem pretty factual. And I question everything. And I've gone through the ringer with God myself, and just, are you real? What are you exactly? And come out the other side. If I was to not be a Christian tomorrow, it wouldn't be because I knew God was real. It's just because I decided to deny, his goodness. So,
you made a good point of looking into stuff yourself. Always say, nothing will keep a man in everlasting ignorance than contempt prior to investigation.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's too many people that want to say, well, so-and-so said, and so-and-so said. I'm more apt to tell them, well, here's where you can find the information. You got to look into it yourself. You may come up with a different opinion, but you may be narrow-minded enough that you won't change your mind.
Yeah.
But at least you'll know.
Yeah.
And I did my part by sharing where you can go find it.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah. All right. Well, appreciate you taking time. And once again, we'll put all your information in the podcast notes. Also link to your Facebook page so people know how to find you.
That'd be great.
And yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that. It's a great time of year to get stuff serviced and looked at right now. Because like you said, we had 2 or 3 days last week that hit in the 90s and it's March.
Yeah. And in our office, what's the address?
We're at 1310 Main Street in Kiowa.
Oh, you're on Main Street.
Yes, sir. Yep. I'm in the Kiowa office on Mondays and Tuesdays, full days. And then Wednesday afternoons.
Okay.
Thursday mornings, and then all day Friday. So, and then I go to Alva the other 2 days of the week. I'm at that office on 614 4th Street.
We haven't really put out a lot of signs. Like I said, I didn't want to say we're here and then not be able to meet the demand.
Yeah.
Because we still have a pretty high demand in Alva. But like I said, I did hire another guy. Summertime's coming on, so there's a kid from college that he's done HVAC and help us last year. So we'll be in full swing in the summertime. But we're down there. You can come visit with Amelia.
I actually do get when people come in.
Yeah. Bring your kids. There's toys down there and other kids.
But there needs to be a preface that our kids come and play there, so don't be surprised if it's in our workspace too.
And there's really no signage up, so hopefully this spring we'll get it painted and get some signs up. And
so is it down here by the plum thicket?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
That's the old police station back in the day.
Oh,
Isn't it?
really?
No, sir. No, sir.
Oh.
It's the old lumber yard. Stan Tucker out of business there.
Oh, you're on the other side.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like just on the edge.
Yep.
Of town.
Yep. That's where Randy and them moved down there. You guys moved
Yes, sir.
there.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Well, that was there used to be a power inspection company, RSI or something like that.
Yeah, Stan
ran out of
Tucker, I
there.
think, did that.
And Williams Ag and
Yeah. So
All
it's
right.
enough. It's enough space. So probably more than enough. I like to buy vehicles that don't always run. So
Well, it keeps you busy.
yeah, it does.
Yep. But yeah, thank you for letting us come on.
Yeah,
and
we really
visit with you.
appreciate it.
You bet. Have a good rest of the evening.
You too.
Yep.